Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. I have a book to talk about today that I loved. I loved it. It was such a big surprise to me to find this book around. Not to find it, but to actually just pick this out at random because I wanted to give yourself Goosebumps book to read, just to take a little bit of a break from the classic Goosebumps books I've been reading and reviewing here recently. This is Give Yourself Goosebumps Special Edition number 4. One Night in Payne House. This is not just regular number 4, this is a special edition number 4, which special editions are kind of a different approach a lot of the time with the Give Yourself Goosebumps books. I will tell you immediately, the first thing about this book, that cover is not that important. You should not have that dog, that Pomeranian dog, on this cover. It's not that important to the story. The covers kind of suck on some of the Give Yourself Goosebumps books. And that's a tragedy because this book is amazing. That's one of the big reasons I picked this book. I thought it was just going to be like a bland, whatever type of story, kind of a haunted house type story, because the story is called One Night in Payne House. This is probably one of my favorite Goosebumps books. One of my favorite Give Yourself Goosebumps books, specifically. I loved this. I thought it was an absolute blast. One of the scariest Goosebumps books I've ever read in my life. If you love haunted house things, like kind of simulators and whatnot, if you want to give yourself Goosebumps book that's more focused around being a haunted house simulator type idea, that's what this is. It's great. I loved it so much. The book starts off with telling you that before you and your friend go inside of the house, Payne house, whatever, you have to pick out 3 items on a checklist to take in with you, and only those 3 items. You can't cheat, you have to use those things. With me, I always read the whole book. I use a bunch of bookmarks, and I'll read through every single choice possible and make sure I get everything to understand what's going on. I don't read page by page, of course. This is a choose-your-own-adventure book for people who don't know that. And I loved this book. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. The reason you and your friend are going into this house, this big, scary, haunted house, castle, mansion-looking thing, is basically because there was a movie based around this thing that had these scary monsters and stuff. You're the main character in this book. You have seen the film. Your best friend has not. So you and your friend go into this house, and you immediately start experiencing some scary things. The first thing being that dog that shows up. And there are some things in this book. If you're a younger viewer, or if you're a parent who buys Goosebumps books for your kids and whatnot, your nephews and nieces, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I'd recommend this to a young viewer. I don't know if I would. This book scared me to death. It's one of those books like Ghost Camp and You Can't Scare Me that genuinely got to me, that genuinely kind of freaked me out a little bit. Mind you, I read most of this during the daytime, and it still got to me. When I came home tonight, I was so into the story, I had to finish up the book. I read like the last hour of the night. I just read when I first got home tonight from my fiance's house. And I read and read and read, and I just enjoyed the crap out of the story. Even a lot of the time with these choose-your-own-adventure books, you have one real ending, the one that's real, like the actual solidified ending of the book. It was so satisfying. Getting to that was so satisfying as well. It was such a great book. I could not recommend this enough to you. If you have a fear of haunted house type things, if ghost stories get to you, this is a great book. It is so much fun. It's one of my favorite Goosebumps books now. Definitely one of my top scariest Goosebumps books. Definitely up there for me. Particularly because of 2 things, and I won't spoil them immensely for you. I'll give you kind of a nickname for them. The first one is the Axe Room. And that completely baffled me. That was like the first thing I experienced in the book, and I was kind of dumbfounded by how gruesome that was. This book does not shy away from gore, from decapitations. That happens a lot in this book. Booby-trapped rooms and whatnot happen in this book. It's kind of like a Resident Evil type thing about going up and down all the time. And not in a huge mansion like in the first Resident Evil game from back in the day, but just try to explore this house. It does what the first special edition Give Yourself Goosebumps book, I forgot what it is, Trapped in the Museum of Doom or whatever it was. That book was a sloppy mess. And I did a review here on the channel if you want to hear more about how sloppy of a mess that was. This book took what that book was trying to do and did it so much better. It made it more compact, it made it more simplistic, and it worked beautifully. It's one of my favorite Give Yourself Goosebumps books, way up there, probably like in my top 3 possibly. Off the top of my head I'm saying that. For Give Yourself Goosebumps, not for just Goosebumps in general, but for Give Yourself Goosebumps as a series, it's definitely up there for me. I'm like top 5, possibly top 3, potentially. I loved everything about it. But also, not only the Axe Room that really, really got to me, but also the closet scene. If you've read the book, and you know about the closet scene. There ain't words for that scene, man. The closet scene has to be one of the scariest things I think I've ever read in my life. I mean, it is just... That is the kind of thing that I write in my middle grade horror short story collection things I'm working on. Haven't published any of those yet, but that's the kind of stuff I write. So if you're into that, you might want to check out my stuff if it ever comes out, if I ever get it published, you know. But that closet scene, man, that has to be one of the scariest things I've ever seen in any Goosebumps book. Even compared to the axe scene that I mentioned, the closet scene, man, there's no words for that. I'm not going to spoil it for you. If you want to find out about it, you can ask me in the comments and I'll let you know a little bit about it. But honestly, you should experience it. You should go out and get a copy of this book. It's a relatively easier special edition book to find. I would recommend just picking it up and reading it for yourself. It is so scary. It's so scary. It's so much fun to have this kind of exploration throughout this whole house. The colored rooms and stuff. It just has so much going for it. It's such a fun, enjoyable, really creepy read that I had such a surprising blast with. I did not expect to read this morning and get into this the way I did. I just thought it was completely mind-boggling. It's been a while since I've read a Goosebumps book in one day. It's been a while. And to pick this up and get so thoroughly invested in it, and the humor there too, the humor is impeccable here. It's one of the best, most on-the-nose, perfect comedy in Goosebumps I've ever seen in my life. Some of the best of R.L. Stine's humor, I would say, if he wrote the book. I don't know if he did. I think it's all but confirmed that he did not write the Give Yourself Goosebumps books, but if he did, this feels like one that he would write, if he wanted to write a scary one. I would love to see a freaking Goosebumps movie or a game or something, a comic series, mainly with a movie or a game that's high budget, based on this concept. I would love to see that. It would be so good. So good. It could be such a great lifesaver and a new pulse for Goosebumps. Because of some of the stuff in here. Now, it wouldn't be as classical with things like Slappy not being in here and, you know, certain monsters people love so much being in here at all. There's one cameo from one particular monster that a lot of people love from Goosebumps as a series. But there's not like anything big, like there's not a Curly the Skeleton or anything like that in here. So, as its own little haunted house simulator, it achieves amazing lengths with that. It is such a fun, fantastic read. Again, this is an easier special edition book to find, and I recommend it. If you can find it, get a copy as soon as possible and read it. I'm telling you, I think you'd love it. I think you would love the book. If you like the scarier side of Goosebumps, I would highly recommend it for you folks in general because I enjoyed the crap out of this. I thought it was one of the best Goosebumps books I've read in a long time. Anyway, Give Yourself Goosebumps Special Edition number 4, One Night in Payne House. What did you think about it, guys? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you think about this incredible, incredible little read? I had such a blast reading this, as I've said over and over again. Probably one of my favorite of the Give Yourself Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure type books. It was so great, and it was so scary. The closet scene, man, I'll never live that down. That will always be one of the scariest things ever burned into my head because of this book. It just shows how scary Goosebumps can actually get. But I don't know, again, I don't know if I'd recommend this to a younger viewer or recommend to you to buy for your kid or something. This is a scary book, dude, and it's got some gore in there, like I said, which is not common with Goosebumps. There are some exceptions, like the Goosebumps One of the Haunted Mask that has some gore in there too, and it's pretty scary, but this is one of the old releases from the 90s. It kind of blew me away to have that in here. Anyway, just prove the point even more. I think the Give Yourself Goosebumps books are some of the best of ever Goosebumps stuff, just because they're so much fun, they're so creative and fun and witty. The comedy is on the nose a lot of the time. They don't always have home runs, but this is way better than like the Escape the Circus of Fear, which I also reviewed, which was good, but it's not amazing like this. This is amazing in my opinion. I recommend this tremendously. For somebody like Ryan, if you're watching this and you're putting down in the comments any kind of comment, I'm telling you, man, if you haven't read this, check it out. It's amazing. If I had to rate, what is it again, One Night in Payne House on a 5-star basis, there's no question and no doubt in my head it'd be a 5 out of 5 stars. It's impeccable. It's so good. So good. One of my favorite of the scarier Goosebumps books to read. And one of my favorite finds that I've just read out of nowhere and gotten such a big surprise with. I'm curious how many more Goosebumps books will genuinely be scary like this that I haven't read yet or reviewed yet here on the channel. This was amazing. It was so good. Anyway, what are your thoughts on One Night in Payne House? Put your thoughts in comments down below. I would love to hear what you have to say. One of my favorite things about this book was the aspect of being a film fan and kind of what if you were stuck in the house or what if you found the house and were stuck inside of the house that a film was taking place of, and that you love the movie and you wanted to experience the house, and it turns out a lot of this stuff could be real, possibly. That's a big part of this book, and that's what I love so much about it. I love that whole concept. I thought it worked so well here, even though it's kind of overdone in film nowadays. It was great. It was extremely great, honestly. Some of the best execution of Goosebumps I've seen in a long, long, long time out of all the stuff I've been reading recently. But anyway, what are your thoughts? Put them down below, guys. Thank you for watching. Happy Easter. This is a great Easter surprise for me. Really, really kind of surprised by it. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today, and goodbye.